Okay, so you're here, which is really exciting for me. I'm all about trying to lower the back pain epidemic. And as a physio who's been in the game for 28, nearly 29 years, I do spend a lot of time pondering why people aren't getting better with all of the amazing practitioners in the world, all of the amazing stretches, yoga techniques, strength and conditioning programs, psychologists, mindset experts. I mean, the human race in certain areas seems to be bashing its head against a brick wall, myself included, in different areas of my life. And so I have come up with a system. It's evolved over the years, and no doubt it will continue to evolve as I grow, as I evolve, as I interact with more people, as I experience more people shift. Then I reflect on that and I try and figure out what for that person helped them move. Because healing your back is really about your own personal evolution. And this intro video is an explanation of the methodology as it stands today. In a year's time, it will probably be different. But as it stands today, when I'm really interested in shifting someone's back pain, then I know they need to go on a journey. They need to go on a journey from where they are now to where they want to be. And I know that's logical. And there needs to be, as much as we can, a basic pathway that if we break it down, makes it simple, makes it understandable, and addresses the whole of who we are. If we look at the basic components, then what we do is we flesh it out into the individuality for everybody after that. So when you sign up for a 6-week course, I don't have the answers for all of you individually, uniquely. I do have the big picture and I do have the stepping stones. And my intention is to provide you with as much of the missing bits as I can so that you can then innately, intuitively guide yourself through the intricacies of your own experience and what that reflects and looks like for you in your own life. And there will be multiple examples throughout the course where we talk about that. But if we're looking at my methodology, I've gone back and forth on it over the years. There's basically 3 simple phases I'd like to discuss today. Phase 1 is all about letting go. If you're here and you want to get here, then essentially you're attempting to become this higher version of yourself, a part of you that already exists. That part has just been weighed down, burdened, entangled, enmeshed in a heap of thinking, experiences, perceptions, emotions that have brought you to this place where you're in physical pain. And so part of the Bulletproof Backs methodology is understanding we don't need to fix anything often. We just need to remember that version of ourselves is still in there. It's just being dragged down by some stuff that's not useful. So the first phase, if you like, of reclaiming your bulletproof identity is identifying what's weighing you down. Or if we talk in terms of spiritual terminology, what's the resistance? If we talk in terms of neuroplasticity, what are the subconscious beliefs? So week 1 is all about letting go, noticing what your stories are about your back pain, noticing what your beliefs are about your back pain, noticing what emotional addictions you have embodied in your chemistry. And we set about resetting, reframing, and simply transmuting a lot of that with love. None of it's wrong. It's possibly served its purpose to get you to survive and to exist for where you are now. But if we're interested in evolution, we need to let go of some stuff. And so week 1 is what I would call the work, the inner work, the getting to understand your personal situation and identifying, shining a light, if you like, on the things that are keeping you anchored into this version of yourself that you no longer wish to be. We don't try and muscle our way over anything. We just see it. We hold it with love. We understand the purpose it served, and we let it transmute with love. So it's a consciousness journey. The letting go is the first phase. Once we've let go, we will notice we're feeling a bit better. We're not quite where we want to be, but there's an element of relief when we have a reframe and a reset of our situation and we see it and we perceive it a little bit differently. There's a natural elevation of how we feel. Once we're feeling a bit better, then we actually can start practicing being who we want to be. Not when your back's better, not when you find that missing therapist, not when you learn that new amazing stretch that's going to save the world, but now, in this moment, moment to moment, we want to practice being who we want to be. So we call that, or I call that phase, embodiment, practicing embodying the bulletproof back version of you. And that takes practice and repetition because your whole neurology is wired around who you've been. And so playing with the embodiment of a newer version of yourself, which remember is nothing new, it's just who you really are, you've just possibly forgotten, takes practice. And we can practice embodiment in so many ways. We can practice it through how we move, how we think, how we feel, through our habits, through our daily actions, through our choices. All of that stuff is tied up with embodiment. So week 2 is about that. It's not so much an intellectual journey, it's a heartfelt, embodied somatic experiencing of what it feels like to be pain-free and moving well and to feel empowered in your own structure. Sounds easy. It can be easy for moments. What tends to happen is you'll feel it, you'll have an embodied experience and think, this is amazing. I didn't know I could tap into this just like that. And you can. And then life will come at you. All the same shit, all the same people, all the same circumstances, they'll come at you and you'll revert back into your default pattern. And so phase 3 is about just noticing that very moment when you go from when you go from embodied love or the higher version of yourself back down to a contracted fear state. Once you notice this or you feel the contraction versus the expansion in your body, then you can practice in the moment resetting. And so I call it the Mind the Gap week, where we practice catching with awareness when we shift from love to fear and working, sitting with ourselves long enough, using some of the processes to draw yourself back into the version you wish to be. That's where we flex the muscle of being who we wish to be. And it takes persistence and it takes dedication and it takes trust that this process actually is real, is how the universe works. And the only way we get to test things out is to play and be curious and to try. That's how I approach all of my learnings. Even when there's that part of me that self-doubts, I tend to open to, well, what if? What if it could be true? What if things could be this easy? What if transformation can be this fast, can be this rapid? Why not play with it? Because I sure as hell am not enjoying where I am right now. So what have I got to lose? So week 1, we're letting go. Week 2, we're what did I say? Embodying. Week 3, we're catching and minding the gap, and we practice building the muscle between leaping between our versions of ourself. Week 4 and onwards, here's the really interesting thing. When you become more of the identity of someone who has a bulletproof back, you will organically find your how to get there becomes very clear. And the how we get there is unique to all of you. I can't tell you what it is, but your higher version can tell you what it is for you. That version of yourself that already has the bulletproof back, is already moving with confidence, is already pain-free. When you tap and connect with that version of self, it will become very evident what your hows are. The ideas will organically come in. It'll be things like, damn, I want to start walking. Or, I just know this yoga instructor down the road is someone I need to hook up with and be guided by. Or, I know that job is part of my back pain and I'm ready to let it go, or to reduce my hours, or to find a new role that suits me better. The hows come when you are more embodied in that version of self. And so in the coursework, I simply go into what some of the hows can be. We look at the traditional things like movement, like strength and conditioning, like stretching. Not from the perspective of you must do this, this, and this to become bulletproof, because each of you will be drawn into a different element. Some of you will be drawn towards stretching. Some of you will be drawn towards strengthening. Some of you will be drawn towards functional movement patterns. You'll know when you are that person. It'll become very obvious. And so the rest of the coursework is more about offering you my unique perspectives on what those strength and conditioning and movement-based elements could look like. I hate recipes when it comes to movement. I hate recipes when it comes to strength work. So don't see it as you must do this, this, and this. See it as that's really interesting. I think that might be something that's resonating for me. That might be something that I feel is going on for me. And I know that that might be something I wish to explore now. Hope that makes sense. So it's a process. It's a journey over the next 6 weeks of taking you from this version you are now to this version you want to be. Nothing is broken with where you are now. It's just a different version that has a lot more shit attached to it. And we want to let go of the shit. We want to embody more of who we are. And we want to become the identity of someone with a bulletproof back. And I know for many of you that version is long forgotten. You won't even know how to think like that person, let alone feel like that person. But they're in there. And you wouldn't be here if you didn't know they're in there. It's a reconnection to parts of yourself. And that is why I love back pain. I mean, let's face it. We all are brought to our knees by different things in our life. For some of us, it might be relationships, it might be finances, it might be illness of another form. We all have moments in life where things on the external environment feel hard. They feel wrong. They feel like somehow they shouldn't be as they are. And I always see that as the mirror reflecting back to me that there's another aspect of myself that's clouded, that needs to be transmuted. There's some belief, there's some feeling, there's some emotional wiring pattern that is being reflected back at me that I now get a chance to explore, that I wouldn't have known I needed to explore unless things were pretty heavy coming at me. And if I perceive my tough experiences in life from that perspective, then I have an opportunity to grow and to evolve. And that's what I want to offer to you as a back pain sufferer. It's not about six-pack abs. It's not about buns of steel. They are up here. But from where you're at right now, you trying to force the actions of an identity that you not are only ends in more reinforcement of some poor patterning. So I would invite you to trust the process. Take a few weeks to really lean in to the shift in perspective, letting go of your story, noticing your emotional patterns, and evolving. Essentially, I'm offering you an invitation to evolve. And I know when you're in pain, that's a big leap, which is why we take it slow. You can go through this program as fast as you like. I don't think it's a smart thing to do, because that would almost demonstrate you're thirsty for intellectual knowledge, that you think the way through this is to think and to know more. And what I'm really emphasizing from the get-go is it's not about that. It's about becoming more. And often that's a passive, sedentary stillness process, which is both, I guess, for some of you relieving to hear, but for some of you probably frustrating to hear. I'm a doer. So when someone says to me what I just said to you, I get a little bit like, no, just tell me how to do it and I'll do it. And I've spent years in that energy of, I will find a way and I will make it happen. And my own personal experience has been that the big rapid shifts happen when I do the opposite. When I pause, when I go inside, when I let my body guide me as to what my experience is in any moment, that's where the wisdom is, that's where the big shifts happen. And that's when the clarity comes about what the next logical step is. So I hope that methodology is not something now that you're going, oh my God, I don't want it. That's not what I signed up for. If it is, then you know what? I'm happy to end your subscription and get you out of this parcel, because maybe it's not for you right now. And we can pause and you can come back at any time. Because when you start this process, I want you to continue. And I want you to know that it ain't going to be from here to here. It is going to be progress, retraction, progress, retraction, progress, retraction, progress, retraction. Each time we retract, we get an opportunity to build the muscle to progress again. If you had a linear journey, you've had no opportunity to build the processes that help you shift, help you shift, help you shift. And any expansion is about that. Learning the processes, becoming aware, noticing when we contract, moving from our thinking to our feeling, moving from fear to love. That is the journey for expansion in any area of life. You're just going to be doing it in context of your back pain. But what I will almost undoubtedly have you notice is that as your back pain shifts, other areas of your life will always shift. It may be your personal relationships deepen. It may be that you notice you're enjoying work more. It may be that your finances start flowing a little bit better. Everything in our world is intermingled. And this contraction, this pain, this heaviness that you've been experiencing will be filtering out into every area of your life. So it's logical, it's natural that when you shift and feel better, then other areas in your life shift and feel better. And it's not a from go to woe process. It's a steady incremental progression, which is why I've made the program 6 weeks, because I don't want you to go fast and then fall back. I like steady progress. Progress is happiness. And if you can reflect back week to week and see marginal shifts, you'll be winning. As always, keep yourself safe. Anything that hurts is not a great idea, movement-wise. Know that you have support embodied and built into the program. And know that in the next 6 weeks, you want to get to the end. My hope for you is that you get to the end And you've learned processes, you've learned skills, you've learned a way of thinking and feeling and being that help you tackle anything in your life moving forward with the same approach. And that's the real gift. And that's hopefully what you will look back on your back pain and be so grateful for, that it put you on this journey. You thought it was about the back, but you learned all this other stuff about yourself. And then when people talk to you from this space, and you get that person that hasn't seen you in a while and says, "Oh, Bill, how's your back?" You go, "Oh, that back pain was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's been the catalyst for my growth and evolution." And they will just think you're nuts. And I hope they do. And I hope you smile and giggle and just enjoy shocking people around you with your own personal transformation. You don't have to lecture. You don't have to educate. You don't have to tell people they should and shouldn't be doing things. You just live it, just be it. And people will naturally want to know, what the hell have you been doing? Because when I last saw you, you weren't in great shape. You weren't looking good. And you can just have that lovely knowing smile of, you know what? Yeah, I evolved. I grew. I learned some stuff and I'm feeling 10 times better. And then hopefully, if back pain is their thing, you can recommend the program. So again, thanks for being here. There's so many additional resources down the bottom. I know some of you are scientifically minded, and some of what I've just said might seem a bit woo-woo. If we briefly talk about how my model of understanding higher self, energetic bodies, mental bodies, emotional bodies, I guess that's a consciousness, spiritual understanding of how we work. But if you know enough about science, you know that it's all the same stuff. It's just transferred and different languages used. If we talk about this version of ourself and our higher version, this version just has all the subconscious beliefs. Subconscious beliefs really affect how we feel. And when we're talking about emotions, emotions are biochemistry in our blood. The balance of our adrenaline, our serotonin, our endorphin, our oxytocin is how we feel, basically. So when we alter the beliefs, we alter the emotional experience, we alter the cellular environment, the biochemistry, if you like, that our cells are in, and we either move towards healing or we move deeper into dysfunction. Inflammation is cortisol. Cortisol is one of the biggest trigger of a fear-based contracted thought process. Once our cells are living in an environment or a biochemistry of oxytocin, love, then there's a huge inhibition of inflammation in our bodies. So naturally, things that haven't healed for a while get a chance to start healing. This is all about our nervous systems, our parasympathetic, our sympathetic, our fight or flight response. It's all the same stuff. And there's so much of this stuff out there now. It's been out there for years. I think now we're just coming into a time when we can consciously start to intertwine the language between spirituality and science. Having said that, I know some of you really like science. So there's a section down below where I've included a lot of videos and a lot of resources with scientific explanations. Just so that if that works for you better, then that's completely there for you. Those people, be aware, I have been one of you, that this is not an intellectual process. Knowledge is power, sure, but knowledge without embodiment is no change. Change comes from embodiment. So be a little bit alert that if you're wanting the science, if you're wanting to understand, that's lovely. That might be part of a part of you that feels safer with knowledge, but don't skip the embodiment parts because that's where you'll notice your real shifts. Okay, that's enough. That's the methodology. Have fun on the journey. Use support when you need it. And please give us feedback. We want to know what's working for you, what isn't. This is a course that's always being tweaked and upgraded. As I know more, I tweak, I upgrade. Can't help it. I just love thinking that one day we'll have this ultimate pathway that heals everybody. I know that's not kind of possible because we're all so different. But I trust that this container I've created is for people like you. People, if you're here, then I'm trusting you're the right sort of people for this sort of work. And yeah, enjoy the journey, enjoy your choices.